Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Julie Mann, and I show men and women how they can live healthy, happy, sustainable lives. And I'm really excited because today I'm joined by Sera. Hi, Michelle.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Pleasure to see you. So for those of you that haven't yet met Michelle, she works as a coach, a strategist, and a copywriter as well. So we're going to hear more about that in a minute. But Michelle, I'd really like to ask you firstly, I know that when you were 6 years old, you had a dream of being an archaeologist, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Did you shelve that dream? What happened?
I did. I think what got me was when I realized how much history I'd have to learn. I just liked digging and finding things in the dirt, right? Like that was what I loved to do. And I think, life always just kind of takes you in different directions. And I think when I thought that I would pursue that, and I like at the time, like the school that I was going to didn't have the kind of program that I wanted. And so I just kind of dabbled in some other things. And then of course, life took me in many different directions.
Are you still digging?
No. Well, I have a farm, so that kind of counts, right? Like, yeah, I dig on my farm. I'm just not necessarily looking for things.
What have you got on your farm, Michelle?
So we're just in the midst of building it. So we just finished our greenhouse. And of course, we have our garden beds. We're getting ducks in just a few months. And we have quite a bit of pasture that we are in the process of starting tea plants. So we are going to experiment with growing tea on a large/small scale because we are a tiny little farm, but there is a growing demand for kind of like boutique tea farms in the US. So we're going to give it that shot.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah.
Fabulous. So who would you say in your life has been your biggest influencer?
That's a really good question. I think, well, let's see, family-wise, my grandfather for sure. And he was just a rock for me, He was always there for me. There were literally times where he would show up at my apartment and tell me to pack my bags and take me home with him. Like if he knew that I was dealing with some tough things, he would just show up and be like, let's go, come on, let's go. And he was just fabulous for that. He was my rock.
Fantastic. Obviously, you have had an incredibly successful career. Have you ever had any doubts, I'm sure you have, along the way about your ability to succeed?
Oh my gosh, I every single day. That never goes away, never. It's the ability to kind of go, yeah, okay, let's move on, right? Like I always have doubts. There's never a moment that I don't.
I'm really glad that you say that because I think some people think that life is a done deal and that's it. Once you've done a little bit of personal development, that's it. But no, it's an ongoing journey, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And it's, I like to refer to it as this kind of dance that you learn. And you learn to go with the flow and follow the nudges and the synchronicities. And if you can learn that dance, it's so much more rewarding and, incredible possibilities open up.
Yeah, because some people absolutely hate dancing.
I know. Well, I'm not the biggest dancer out here in my town. but I will say that, you do really have to, when it comes to life in general, learn to go with the flow and not take things so seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you could give your younger self some advice, what would you say?
I would say that, you're going to be okay. And you, late bloomer that you are, don't worry about it. That's what I would say.
Wow. So when did you start to bloom?
My 40s, for sure. I've always been a bit of a wallflower. I still am. I mean, I'm an introvert, and I always joke with my friends and colleagues that I'm a natural recluse. And so I'm always kind of, battling the balance between getting out there and being the recluse that I am. So probably, I would definitely my 40s, definitely, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
On your website, you say, I believe in human potential and our innate ability to turn desire into form. What do you mean
Yes.
by that?
So, I believe in our ability to shape our reality. And I believe in that because I've studied the science of it and I've experienced it. And I think that we're on this verge of truly understanding our ability to create our reality from a science side and a spiritual side, if that fits for someone, right? You can have both now. You can have the explanation from both sides. And so, I have seen people create incredible things or manifest incredible things. I have done so myself. And I am absolutely convinced now that we have that innate ability. That's part of what we're here for. It's just a matter of kind of getting back to it and learning what you need to do every single day to make it happen.
Are you talking about law of attraction, Michelle?
It is. Law of attraction is definitely what I'm talking about in terms of manifesting. There are many different teachings out there, and there are teachings that were here long before law of attraction, but it's essentially all the same. Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's interesting because with what you do, I mean, copywriting, strategy, and then this kind of law of attraction, manifesting,
Mhm.
they're kind of opposite ends, aren't they? So
They are. It's this internal work and this external work, right? It's this inspired action versus action. So it's an interesting, I call it a hybrid approach. I mean, but I will say that even though they're kind of opposites, it's in terms of creating a business, it's the biggest personal development journey you'll ever go on. And you cannot create anything that's an expression of you without starting from your center. You just can't.
So having all three makes for a kick-ass business, doesn't it, really?
It does, absolutely.
The way I say it, kick-ass, in a very English way, but it's kick-ass,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's kick-ass, I agree.
How would you define success?
Hmm. So success for me is if you can feel here that immense happiness and joy, 6 days out of 7, that's success, plain and simple.
There'll be some people watching, Michelle, that can't imagine feeling that. They're just getting by. They're really on the treadmill. They're just kind of surviving life. And so
Oh, yeah.
just to have a few minutes of that would be a great thing. So, how do people even reach that point?
It's a great question. And I've been there. I've been at that point where I don't even know if you could call it getting by. Like, I don't even think I had made it to that point. And what I did in that moment when I was in that place was I had reached such a level of despair and just, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm not going to survive this if I don't change something. And what I did was said, and at the time I didn't understand manifesting or law of attraction the way that I do now. But at the time I said, you know what, I'm just going to close my eyes and I'm going to pretend that everything is exactly as I want it, because I can't face the reality that's in front of me right now anymore. Like, this is too hard. So I'm just going to pretend. And I started doing that multiple times a day to cope. And incredibly, things began to change, and rather quickly.
Wow. So was that the point then when you decided to start your own business?
Yes, and I had always had copywriting work on the side, right? That's been ongoing for about 15 years. So But it was at that point that I decided I would put more effort towards my own business. Now, there were many iterations of that. It wasn't that that was successful right off the bat by any means. I had a lot of internal work to do before I could get to that point. But yes, for sure.
Have you got any success tips or manifesting tips for anyone watching? Something
Yeah. Well, like I said, the first step is just closing your eyes and imagining, just imagining everything as you want it to be, right? Like, until you can get to that point where you start to feel better, right? Where you start to feel that like spark of excitement and happiness and joy over what you're imagining. Another way to do that is, for some people, this is really a challenge, right? And if you have a loved one, if you have children, if you have dogs, cats, birds, you can imagine, like, one of the visualizations that I still use quite often is, I have an Italian Mastiff. He's this great big dog, but he's terrified all the time. He's been that way since we got him as a puppy. He's very fearful. So he has a very kind of strict routine at home because he's not okay with other people. He has these challenges. And he has a best friend, though, that Ruby Lou. She's a hound mix, and she's his best friend. And when they're out in the yard and they're running, I can see him smile. And for a moment, he's completely free of fear, right? He's so happy. And all I have to do is imagine that, and I'm filled with joy. So that's one of the things that I tell people to do, is take a memory or a person or a moment that makes you smile, and hold it and expand it. Start there.
That's brilliant. And it could just be the sunset, couldn't it?
Oh my gosh, anything.
A flower, some part of nature, or yeah.
Exactly, anything.
The feeling is the really important bit, isn't it?
The feeling is the key. That's all it really is. I mean, there is the visualization aspect of being able to see or imagine, right? But that ultimately comes down to, what feeling does that vision give you? And it's being able to hold and carry that feeling throughout the day.
Because I know that some people really find it difficult to see a picture in their mind's eye.
They do, you're right. It depends on if you're, I'm highly visual. Some people aren't. And you can certainly, you've heard of doing vision boards and things of that nature. And really that serves to assist when it's more difficult to actually see it in your mind's eye. But you still need to be able to feel it. Like, just to put a vision board together and put it up on the wall doesn't do much unless you can actually conjure the feelings that come with it, that those images give you, right? So whatever it is, even music, right? Like, even if you really struggle to visualize, like I said, you can use memories to help pull that feeling up. You can use music to pull that feeling up, and then recall it throughout the day, and work on being able to hold it longer and longer and longer. You
mentioned science, and some people watching will just think, oh, it's all a load of woo-woo. What are they talking about?
I know.
That's fine, isn't it? Because maybe, at one point I would have thought the same thing. Absolutely, I agree with you now. So what's the link scientifically between the feeling and manifesting what it is that you want?
It's interesting. Like, there are people that are actually studying, and they're studying manifesting in terms of, they're running experiments. They are studying people who experience synchronicity on a regular basis. And we don't yet know the mechanism from the point of, we know if we can hold elevated emotion, right, for a period of time, that we will then see the manifestation of that in this reality. There is some talk about how reality is just a mirror, right? Like, it's a mirror to your thoughts. And there is a lot of talk about, you've heard, the vibration, but if you think of it in terms of science, the universe, this is a vibration-based world, a vibration-based environment. Like, even in, and I don't subscribe to any religion at all, but even in the Bible, it does say that the world was created or with the word. It was a sound, it was a vibration. So if you've ever studied like cymatics in terms of where you see those tables that they vibrate in it, and there's like sand or grains on top, and it takes shapes and makes beautiful designs through different vibrations. So everything is created through a vibration. So then we don't fully know yet where our thoughts and our emotions, when we can create that certain vibration, how it then becomes a physical manifestation, right? We're still learning that part of it, but they're getting closer and closer. And the studies that they're doing with synchronicity, they've been able to identify that people who experience synchronicity on a regular basis, they know the 3 things that are present every time. And so they're able to recreate it and actually generate synchronicity, which is mind-blowing, you know?
Absolutely. And the other thing is that when we do things that bring us joy, or look at things that bring us joy, then actually it's not just about what we manifest outside, it's the inside. It's doing our health enormous good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I read a study once where they had people who were meditating regularly and kind of holding that feeling of joy, and they could detect that their cells were actually changing color, like this magnificent green, in those moments when they were able to elevate that emotion high enough, right? So absolutely, there's an internal shift, but there's also this actual physical thing happening in the body.
Yeah, it's amazing. Of course,
It is.
there are other people, of course, that will realize that top athletes are now, they run the race in their head over and over again, and they see themselves winning, and it's proven that those that do are much more likely to get the result that they're looking for. So it's not now so much kind of something that we can't connect with on some level.
Exactly. And that's the basis for, what we call manifesting practices. It's not just for the woo-woo anymore, right? It's for everybody else too.
It's for results. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You mentioned synchronicity, so we have to kind of mention your Synchronicity Club. So tell us about that.
Oh, yeah. So my Synchronicity Club is designed to give you everything you need to create and maintain that state of mind for manifesting. And the way that I do that, the support that I give you, is that you get daily messages in your inbox. These are really short messages to the point to get you kind of thinking and elevating your vibration. And then there is a weekly video that's really short, again, to kind of answer some questions and get you moving on that path. And then every month I hold a live call where I will usually teach on a topic and then open up plenty of time for Q&A, because that's the really fun part, right? And then there's also a Facebook group that you can join in, where we're like right now, I'm actually doing 21 days of 2 to 3 sessions a day that I am visualizing and working on manifesting. So now, granted, I'm going to continue doing it past 21 days, but I'm focusing on these 21 days and reporting my results every day.
Well, because 20, there's a magic number, isn't it? 21 is a magic number.
They say that 21 days is like the number of days for changing a habit, right? It has to do with the science of the brain and what we need to do in order to kind of flip those switches. So, yeah.
You've also got something called Tangible, haven't you? So what's that?
Yeah, that's my hybrid program that is just my greatest joy, because this is where I bring together teaching my Soma manifesting practices for business, right? Using these daily practices to manifest opportunities for your business, as well as all of the marketing training to kind of create that foundation of your business. So this is, most ideal for new coaches who get really excited about the science of manifesting and want to get their business off the ground in a really powerful way. It's how I say that I teach you how to create your business through manifesting powerfully and marketing differently.
Sounds so much fun, Michelle.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Fabulous. So I know that you've got a tattoo on your wrist, haven't you? Tell us about that. What does that mean to you?
So this tattoo is one, it's kind of old now, so it's
You hold
blurring a bit. But it is, this charm here is called Boudica's charm. So she was a Celtic queen. I'm sure you may know a little bit about that. But the time when I got this tattoo, I had read something about her and the courage that she had. There was like this, huge battle, and her husband was killed in the battle, and so she had to lead everybody onward. I do believe she perished in all of that, but the fact that the whole theme of it was this courage and this bravery. And so when I got this, and then the flip side of it for me is discipline. Those were the two things that I was reminding myself of at the time, was that I did have the courage and the bravery to do what I needed to do, and not to forget the discipline. So there you have it.
Brilliant, because you have to have both together, don't you, to create success in a business?
I believe so.
I think actually Boudica is who we call Bodicea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we just pronounce it a bit differently over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
What keeps you in the game, Michelle?
What keeps me in the game? I don't think I have ever been able to not be in the game. Like, it's like this, I think of a rubber band, like I may be stretched to my limits and have really difficult times. I've certainly been challenged throughout my life multiple times. But I always come right back to this, which is this very intentional creation and creating and business. There isn't a moment that goes by that I don't think about it. Like, that's who I am, and I can't not do it. And for years, I was pretty hard on myself for all of the attempts that I made that I didn't at that time deem as successful. And because it was, family and friends certainly didn't see it the way that I did, right? They'd always, what are you doing now? Like, what are you? And I was hard on myself for years, and I had to come to realize that this is who I am. This is my art, whether I'm, someone is writing a song, or they're writing a screenplay, or they're acting, or they're painting their masterpiece. This is my masterpiece. And I will always do this over and over again. So, yeah.
Such a great point. It's so important, isn't it, that we really do stuff that's integrity with who we are, and not try and please people. And I think that can take age. For some people, it happens earlier on in their life. But for me, that took a long time. But my goodness, isn't it relief when you say it's okay for me to follow my path?
Oh my goodness, yes. When you finally can get to that place where you're okay with you, and, as you said, it's a relief, it's freeing. I look back and think, my goodness, like all those years that I struggled with being me, but as you said, sometimes it's just an age thing too, right? Like sometimes it, and as I said, I've always been a late bloomer, so.
Yeah, snap. Of all the things that you've done in your incredible career, Michelle, what are you most proud of?
I think I'm most proud of, at this point in time, and I'm sure that I'll replace this with some more things as we go, but the time that I spent behind the scenes of a multi-million-dollar entrepreneurial company, I joined that team when it was 5 people, and now I'm sure they're probably over about 50. At the time that I left, they weren't too far from that. They may be even over like 60, I don't know. But helping that company grow from about $1 million, $2 million in revenue to well over 14, and playing a very integral part in that, because at the time, especially when I joined that company, it was very, very small. I held every title in the company, I think, just about. And I came on board, I didn't have formal training. I don't have formal training. I'm self-taught and real world, So I think that is probably one of the things that I'm most proud of, for sure.
Wow, that's incredible. One last question, Michelle.
Yeah.
If you could be remembered for anything, what would you like it to be?
I think what I'd most like to be remembered for is my belief in your ability to do and be anything. As I said, I believe in human potential, and I never want anyone to think that they can't do it or they can't, whatever it is they're after. I want you to understand how very incredible you are and the power that you have within and the ability that you have that you may not understand at this point in time, but it's there and you have it. And if I could ever get you to just experience a little tiny bit of it and help you to feel what it's like to tap into that power, that's what I want to be remembered for.
Amazing. So I'm going to post all of your links below this this video. So everyone, please go and check out Michelle. She's got so much more than obviously you've heard today. So Michelle, all there is for me to say is thank you so very much.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. This was fun. So fun.